Hello and welcome to Camp Xbox. Pirates and video games are two elements that have worked together since the beginning of the industry. From the early days of the point-and-click Monkey Island series to the grand online adventure of Sea of Thieves, nothing captures freedom and fun more than sailing the high seas and looking for buried treasure. There are many notable pirate titles, but one that I had not heard of before came to my attention recently, and that's Pirates: The Legend of Black Cat. A pirate action game with RPG elements that looked ambitious for its time, with sailing and ground action. Today we are going to talk a little bit about its release, I'm going to review it, and we'll go over its impact after release. I first want to thank my YouTube channel members, thank you for the support, and let's sail on into this game's history. Originally titled Pirates of Skull Cove, and later retitled to Pirates: The Legend of Black Cat, this game was in development in the early 2000s by Westwood Studios, the team that brought us the Command & Conquer franchise. Looking into a lot of gaming websites for articles, it was hard to find a lot of promotional information. It was presented at E3 2001 as part of the publisher EA's lineup, but other than a few previews, it didn't seem to be hyped up. Outlets like IGN and GameSpot were intrigued, but there wasn't much coverage until the game's full release. It launched first on PS2 on February 19th, 2002, and later on the Xbox on March 26, 2002, making it a very early Xbox title, coming in its first 6 months of life. I recently found out about this game, and let me tell you how my experience went. Set in the mid-1700s, The Legend of Black Cat has you playing the role of Caterina de Leon, daughter of a prominent governor and a famous pirate. By the time you first play, your mother has passed away and your father has been assassinated by Captain Hawk. You go on an adventure across many different islands to hunt down Hawk for vengeance. Scattered along the way are many chart stones, allowing you to navigate different sections of the map. The plot is mostly laid out in the manner of you exploring a bunch of islands, finding items and maps, and usually trying to beat the boss to unlock the next chart stone. I won't say the story is insanely good, but I liked it. It's a simple pirate tale that prepares you for a grand quest. This is more of an RPG, so I think a major goal here is making the adventure yourself. Usually in each section of islands, you are given free reign of where to go, and only some islands pertain to the story, allowing you to explore at your own pace and fight the boss of the area later. You're going to see a lot of the same enemies, but the boss is usually interesting. It's a pirate and fantasy theme you've seen before, but they're all a lot of fun here. Kat is an interesting lead too, and I enjoyed her family arc where she has to visit her family's grave and deal with all sorts of pirates. No one character stood out to me, so I wouldn't say they are lovable, but they're not poorly done. It's all around just a solidly paced plot where each section shows you some new environments, some light story, and once the ideas have been explored fully, you're moving into the next set of themed islands. It's a solid video game story, and sets you up just to be a pirate and explore, which is the most interesting aspect of the game by far. Legend of Black Cat is a third-person action pirate RPG. You set sail on a ship to many different islands scattered around everywhere. You engage in both ship and sword combat, mixing both to make you feel like a true pirate captain. Getting into the ship combat, you start off with a very small ship navigating the open waters between islands. Most islands have docks and most areas have a fort. With docks, you can dock your boat and transition to land. With forts, you can shoot cannonballs at it till it goes down, and then it becomes a shop for you. Here you can buy supplies to repair your ship, gear to damage other ships, and upgrade the type of ship you have. Combat with other boats is simple and satisfying. You just roll up to the sides of the other ship and shoot, positioning yourself so you don't get shot back. You press a button to repair if you have supplies, and with ship upgrades gained on certain islands, you get special moves. My favorite was the ram's head that just lets you ram straight into the hull of a ship, sometimes taking it down in one hit. I think Westwood Studios did a great job of not making sailing overly complicated and has more of a sense of arcade fun. It's not really about sail management, especially when you have a dedicated boost button, but the movement in combat is not so simple that you can just dead stop and shoot. It meets somewhere in the middle, and I think it's one of the better parts of the game. The only issue I have is that once you run out of boost on the earlier ships, the movement slows down a lot, and that makes traversing out of certain areas a slight slog, but never detrimental to the pacing. I guess Westwood also thought the ship combat was really strong because this game includes a multiplayer ship battle mode, where that's all you do. It features bots, but I wouldn't say it's a mainstay for the game. It's fun for a round or two, but generally, it's a pretty short experience, but if you have another player, I'm sure you can find some fun out of it. The land sections of the game are not as clear-cut good and have some slight downfalls. I do think the biggest positive out of this game is just the exploration. I'd say 30% of the islands are essential to step foot on in your journey. Most islands are just there to explore, and almost every one of these islands will reward you with some type of upgrade or at least money. Now the game only gives you clues on where to continue the story, so some of the exploration is trial and error, but I think the idea that you will get something out of every trip helps out that aspect of the game. Just sailing around in such a free world is awesome, and the fact that I can stop off anywhere and find some treasure is a great pirate experience. All of the upgrades are solid too, from sword enhancements that make you stronger, hearts to give you a larger health pool, and new gadgets that you can use in combat. I really love the buried treasure mechanic here, where the vibration of the controller gets stronger and stronger the closer and closer you get to where it's buried. You're always being rewarded by playing this game, and I think that makes for a great RPG. There is no downtime spent grinding, you will always be working towards some type of goal. I think just their core adventure tenets are what makes this game stand out and such a good time to experience. Though the combat itself makes this a little harder to say it's a runaway hit. Combat is fairly stiff. You'll notice that the sword hits don't feel satisfying, and it's you just slamming a button over and over. There's not a lot of nuance here. I do feel like the motion is more fluid and blocks work fairly well, but you will do so much of the same type of combat that's going to get a little tiring. A lot of later islands are filled to the brim with enemies, and you'll be fighting in the same style for most of it. Luckily, items like dynamite and daggers add a little bit of flavor to keep the combat going. Along with that, the enemy variety is pretty good. Each set of islands usually has some type of theme, like voodoo or ice, and has enemies tied to the theme. You're going to see yetis, flying tikis, spiders, and of course other pirates. No matter where you go, you do see different enemies that fight back in different ways, keeping a strong sense of variety. Jumping is another element that's a bit funky, where there is not much movement outside of a straight line of your jump. So once you do it, you are committed even when you use the double jump. Luckily, platforming is not a big element of this game, so it's not going to ruin much outside of accidentally jumping in combat. The Legend of Black Cat to me has issues, but it makes up for a lot of that with just pure ambition, and that ambition pays off. The combat is not the most diverse, but the enemies keep it interesting. The ship fighting is great, and exploration is done extremely well. Even if the island was not going towards story progression, I knew there was something I was going to get out of it. In an open pirate game like this, you want to encourage looking for any treasure that is buried, and the game succeeds in that feeling. So it might not be the best playing, but it's going to continue to be fun throughout the entire experience. The graphics in this game are not the standout part of the experience. The aesthetics are nice at first, with an island theme featuring long stretches of sand and a pleasant sky with great sunlight. However, there are signs of weaknesses when it comes to the islands themselves. They lack a lot of detail, usually featuring scattered trees or bushes, but not much else. As you progress, the lack of details becomes more apparent, and the large areas are often only broken up by large hillsides. The environments don't pop out, and the lighting levels are poor in later stages. Cat's character looks like it had a good amount of detail thrown into it, but the enemy models aren't as impressive. While the animations are fluid, they may look a bit off in cutscenes. The movement is often overly animated, giving it an odd feeling as if they were aiming for realism, but it ended up making it feel staggered. Despite this, the game is not bad looking overall. Some islands are nicely designed, especially those with a sandy terrain. There is a large variety of objects and enemies to keep things visually different throughout. Having variety in a game is always appreciated, and Pirates does well in this regard. While it has some issues, the graphics are serviceable enough that they don't negatively impact the gameplay. The voice acting in this game is somewhat rough. The voice actress for Kat does a fine job, but everyone else delivers rather monotone performances. This wouldn't matter as much if there weren't so many story-driven cutscenes. However, there are a good amount of cutscenes in this game, and enduring subpar voice acting for an extended period can be a downside. While the story itself is interesting, the delivery just falls flat. On the other hand, the rest of the audio elements in this game are quite fantastic. Many small audio cues guide you through the gameplay. One notable example is the save system, where you save at parrots scattered across islands. Sometimes it's challenging to locate them, but when you walk by, they whistle at you, providing a nice way to find them. Buried treasure locations also make a noise when you're nearby, forts emit a pleasant ringing noise when you approach them, and cannon hits have a satisfying impact. The attention to detail in the sound effects is commendable. The music is also excellent, offering a perfect adventure game soundtrack. In conclusion, while Pirates: The Legend of Black Cat may have some drawbacks in terms of graphics and voice acting, its ambition and entertainment value make it a fun adventure. It captures the free-roaming, treasure-hunting dream as best as it could at the time of its release. The game ensures that each island offers something for you to gain, making exploration rewarding and never tiresome. The combat is somewhat laid back, but it's serviceable enough. The variety in enemies and islands prevents the gameplay from becoming stale. The overall journey, along with sailing around and engaging in ship combat, provides a solid dose of arcade-style fun. Pirates: The Legend of Black Cat is easy to pick up and spend many hours in. While it may not be close to perfect or considered one of the greats of its generation, it stands as a solidly enjoyable adventure on the high seas. If you're interested in it, it's worth checking out. And on my original Xbox ranking list, Pirates: The Legend of Black Cat enters at number 30 out of 72. Upon its release, Pirates: The Legend of Black Cat received decent reviews. The Xbox version holds an average score of 74 on Metacritic, and reviews from various gaming websites generally fall within the range of 6 to 8 out of 10. Many players appreciated the exploration aspect of the game, but found it lacking in truly impressive elements. In the June 2002 issue of Official Xbox Magazine, Jim Preston gave it a score of 7.1 out of 10, praising the naval combat but expressing reservations about the graphics. Despite these reviews, Pirates: Legend of Black Cat hasn't left a significant legacy. While you can find playthroughs for this game on YouTube and you'll see comments for people nostalgic for it, the game is largely forgotten and rarely discussed. It hasn't gained much attention on the user aggregate website Backlogged, where it holds a score of 3.0, but only 33 people have said they've played this. This is unfortunate, as the game offers a unique and enjoyable exploration experience that takes around 10 hours to complete, which is a perfect length for this game. Perhaps in the future, Pirates: Legend of Black Cat will receive more recognition and appreciation, which I would love to see. But everybody's opinion is important, so however you felt about this game, or if you're just interested in this game, please leave a comment below. I would love to hear from you. Leave a like as it helps out the channel, subscribe to keep up with the retro Xbox content, and once again, I want to give a big shout out to my campers and camp counselors. You really help out the channel, and thank you so much for the support. And I'll see you here next time at Camp Xbox.